This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast here. It's a very special Friday edition of the show, Friday, November 10th, 2023. And the reason we're bringing the show to you is because we have a special guest, and his name is Sharon. I'll be playing that recording in just a minute, but I want to thank everybody for listening here, and I want to preface this as this show is a little bit different in that some of the content we talk about up front is not wrestling related. It's about 20 minutes or so of what's going on in Israel and his experience and, what's going on in his life and that kind of thing. And a little political stuff that is unavoidable if we're talking about Israel. So I want to preface it by saying that. So if you press play and you're like, oh, well, I don't want to hear any of this stuff. I don't want to hear politics. Then you may want to skip to like halfway through the show. But I think it's worth listening to, even if you're not a political person. We don't talk about politics. This isn't a debate. Okay. It's just what's going on in this country and everything else that has resulted from it for him. And so just wanted to preface that as a bit of a disclaimer. I know that this show, we keep politics out, but in this case, bringing somebody in from Israel, it's impossible to not bring a little bit of that in, but just the reality of what's happening over there. So I wanted to let you guys know, okay, so it is a little bit different, but we do talk about wrestling for the second half of the show. We really do. We dive into Roman Reigns. We dove into Cody Rhodes and if Cody Rhodes should be the one to beat Roman Reigns and some other stuff. So check that out. Not a deep dive into anything crazy, just some high-level stuff on how he views wrestling, a little bit of AEW, believe it or not, towards the end of the show. So check that out. And thank you guys for listening. And I do want to also thank Sharon. He recently joined us over there on Patreon. I did see that, and I do appreciate it. It's much appreciated for you to come on the show. And I also want to thank, Martin. I think I thanked Martin earlier for being a patron of the show. I wanted to give everybody a shout out that joins us here. And Zach recently joined us on Patreon as a paid member. So thank you, Zach, for your patronage, and I appreciate everyone who is taking their time to listen. So, all right, we're going to get to Sharon and myself right now, and I'll be back Sunday with the weekend review. Of course, the SmackDown review is coming your way, and Anthony DeMarco's show of the exclusive After Dark show that he did is being released around the same time as right now that I'm releasing this show, and the topic that he's going to be talking about is John Cena and the future of the U.S. title. So that'll be the topic for those of you who are on the SmackDown tier and higher on Patreon. It's a very non-PG show, but that's the topic Anthony's talking about if you want to check that out. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Welcome to the WWE Podcast, everybody. It is a special Friday edition of the show. And I promised you guys earlier in the week we'd have a different guest on the show, and that's exactly what we're doing tonight, as we have Sharon from Israel. You guys know him from the mailbag and from his emails over the last year or two. I feel like it's been at least a couple years since you've been listening to the show. I could be wrong, but we're going to talk about wrestling. We're going to talk about his thoughts on what's going on, his love for Cody Rhodes, and we're going to talk about all that stuff in just a few minutes. But first, I'd like to introduce Sharon. How you doing, man?
Hey, Matt. Hey, everyone. So happy to be here with you. We are not in the night. We are like in the afternoon of Israel. And yeah, it's very nice. It's very sunny here. It's winter already in your place. Do you have snow?
Not yet, but we've seen flakes of snow, but it'll be from about November until April. So yeah,
it's so crazy here in Israel. Like every year, we say to ourselves, "This summer it's like the hottest summer," and like this summer, like we are already in the half of November, and still no rain, sunny. We can go to the beach, but most of the time I'm in my place, in my house. in Israel. I can report you a little bit what happening like around. And first of all, it's so nice to have a conversation with you about wrestling and to be a part of the WWE podcast in this time, because you really need so much escapism where there is so much war and bad things happening around you this time. And I'm really, really happy about this opportunity. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, it's great to have you here. This has been a difficult time, not just for you, but to just connect because of our time difference from New York to Israel. It's a bit of a time difference there, and I'm glad we were able to connect. But before we get into some of the stuff going on there, some good news. You have a relatively new addition to the family, a 10-month-old. So tell us all about that. How has that changed your life?
It's 10 months or really, really good thing. And from the other side, you have kids as well. So I guess you already understand. I mean, I feel like it's like 3 years of the strong struggle, and so much things happened. And like, I got to say, when I had my baby like 10 months ago, it was like the happiest thing that happened in my life. But from that date, like every day can be so much of a struggle, especially like the first months. And like we are like so much of a fresh parents. So how do you change a diaper? Why he's crying so much? Like we're dying to make him asleep. And I'm also a teacher, like I'm teaching really, really early in the morning. So I had like nights without sleeping. And I came to the school, to the students, and like a little bit of the classes, like I slept in the class in front of my students because I was so, it was hard. But now it's good. Now it's good. It's better. He became a human. He smiles to us. He says mom and father, and like not in English, but in Hebrew, but
right.
Yes.
No, that's a great way to describe it, where it's so joyful, but it's also the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life. And then, most of us do it over again. I'm not sure if you and your wife are planning to have another, but it certainly changes up your sleep patterns in a way you didn't know you could survive on such little sleep, where you think you have a pattern down with the baby, and then they flip the pattern around. They're up 3 hours in the middle of the night. You can't even stay awake. And then they'll sleep for another hour, wake up, need a bottle or need nursing from their mom. And it's one of those things that you just, it will sober you. It will make you into a man, whether you want it to be or not. And it also is the best thing ever, because as you said, while you don't probably remember the last 10 months, it's all a big blur, which was for me anyway. It does bring so much joy into your life. And as you have, your wife, I'm sure, probably feels the same way, where it's so difficult. And you're also trying to not be short with each other, which is difficult because you're both on so little sleep and you're getting frustrated with one another because you feel like you need to sleep. And it's this whole struggle, but it is one of the best things.
Yes, no one can prepare you for those things. I mean, here in Israel, they are like getting birth is so much fluent. Families have like sometimes like 5 children, even if they are not so religious. And it's really, and all your friends have babies. That's even from a young age. So no one can prepare you for this. And when you are getting to the point that it started, it's like you and your wife in your own journey. Like the parents can help you and the friends, and you see videos in the YouTube, but in the end, it is just you in front of your baby, and you have to succeed it. Like you don't have like the luxury, or like you live in a job or like a project, or you have to succeed it and to be like the best in it. And if you're doing like the little mistake, you say, oh no, my baby will be bad like for the rest of his life if I didn't change the diaper right. It's like so weird.
Yeah.
Yes,
It
yes.
is, and you just have more responsibility than you realize. Where you said, you don't have an option. You can't screw up. You are responsible for this human being now, and how they get raised is now up to you. And like you said, you can't be prepared for it. No matter how many times people tell you things and you hear things in YouTube and all that, nothing will ever prepare you for what you go through. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. But ultimately, I mean, I have no regrets, and my wife and I are probably done it too, because we're starting to get our lives back a little bit for us anyway, where they go down pretty easily. Their nap times are very regular. They're much more self-sufficient. Whereas right now, a 10-month-old, I'd imagine, is it a boy or girl?
It is a boy.
A boy. Okay. So he's not walking yet, right? He's probably crawling.
Yeah, he's not walking, he's crawling, he's trying to go, what is that in English, like to be on a fixed position, like knees and hands
Yes.
together.
Yep.
This is what he's trying to do right now. And yes, and by the way, is every time that you lift your baby or think to yourself, I got to do like attitude adjustment or like power slam? Like something like that. Like every time that I lift my baby, I would say, I'm not doing like something like that now.
I'm not trying to set you up for a pedigree, I know. Well, that's great. It is it is a thing to be joyful about, especially during what's going on over there. And I do want to touch on it briefly. And I know I understand, guys, listen, this is a wrestling podcast. We will get to wrestling and for the majority of the show, but I have to ask, based on what happened on October 7th, I mean, that is something that, even in America here, like some of the videos I've seen, I can't even put it into words, everything. Obviously you're there, when you first heard about it, where were you? What were you doing? Were you at work? What was going on?
It was on Saturday morning. And what did I do on Saturday morning? I saw SmackDown. And then, lately in August, we moved from the center of Israel, like from Tel Aviv, to the north of Israel, to Haifa. The parents of my wife are from Haifa, so we went to there to help with the baby. It was easier for us. And in October, we did like a little vacation, like to see the family. And in the vacation that we did in the center, then the sirens went on like 6 a.m. And here in Israel, I don't know if you know about it, that we do have like every year or 2 or 3 years, like we have like a thing with Gaza, and we do have like a little bit sirens and rockets all around. So we were really, it was usual thing for us. Like we said, go to the shelter or go to the stairs in the building and like just wait a few moments. And then news started to get on with the terrorists come to the villages near the fence, like near Gaza. And then things got really, really escalated, and it got really, really different. And the Saturday went like, it also was weird, but I don't know if you really heard about what happened, because we didn't have situation like this in Israel ever. This is not a political thing, but people need to know that right now in Gaza, we have like 240 people that are kidnapped by Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of people that died and got bad things from this organization, terrorist organization. A lot of people got evacuated from their houses. So it's not like a propaganda thing, but from all of our listeners, Israel is not in a good place right now. If you see in your news that Israel is doing bad things, we are protecting our country. Our people got really bad things in our place, and we are really kind of in a trauma right now. It's bigger than anything that ever happened to us. But we are a strong country. And some of us even got a little bit of routine, because I'm in Haifa and I'm far from Gaza. So our school became normal again, and students go to the school again. and work is getting good. And in Haifa, we didn't got any siren, just one like a month ago, but that's it. And it's really, really weird for me as well that I am like in a different reality. I'm like in a different place because I don't have any sirens. Nothing happened to my place. Like, I hope that nothing bad will happen in the future. Maybe we'll get to a war with Lebanon in the near future. I hope not. I don't know. But right now, I'm trying to get a little bit of the routine that I have here and be good with that. And trying to do escapism with you. And yes, um, it's weird times, but it's hard times, like Cody Rhodes said. But we're getting through that.
Your dad isn't Cody or isn't Dusty Rhodes too, is it? I hope not. So no, it's good to hear that you're far enough away where you're it's still something that absolutely I would imagine it's on the back of everyone's minds all the time, even though you've returned to somewhat of a normal routine because you're further away from the war zone. That's still, I wouldn't be able to go down the street anymore and think, hey, I'm perfectly safe, nothing will ever happen. I think that sense of security has been shattered by what's been going on. But do you see, even though you're further north, do you see a rise in security, or do you still see police out more? Or is it just feel like kind of still a normal day, or do you see things that are still different?
So in Israel, every boy or girl that is above 18 years old got to go to the army. This is like 3 or 2 years, you got to do it. And now, after you finish the army, if you're doing a war job on if you are important, they invite you to go to the army again if there is a war, there's your unit need to exercise or something like that. And nowadays in Israel, we have most of our men's and a lot of our women's, a lot of our people go to the army again, although they are old. Some of the army people that go to the army again, some of them even 60 years old. So much people go to the army again, and there's army people in the streets. There are as I said, police in the roads that are checking everyone that come to your city. There is a lot of security, but it's also the feeling that everything is different. Everything is different, and because for example, agriculture. We have agriculture in the north, in the south, and people went out of those places because there is a danger of terrorists. So people from all over the country went to go to do an agriculture job, to get vegetables and fruits in order to help those people. And a lot of people went to do a community jobs and help to the army and to the people that got evacuated from their house. All the country are in the doing of war, and it's really great to see it now. I don't know if you heard the news before October, if you heard a little bit about Israel, that we had a little bit, how do you say it? It wasn't in that size, but we had a big fight in our people. I don't know if you heard about it. We had a thing between Biden and our leader Netanyahu, that United States really got mad about us because we wanted to do a reform in a judicial or something like that. And we had a big fight in our people. We didn't have a civil war, but we did have a lot of bad feelings between us.
Huh.
And when the war came, everything just got disappeared. And it is bad because, of course, there's a war. But this is so good to see the people got united again because they understand that we are together and we can't lose. And it's really nice that we had like a point that everyone are together right now. And yes, I have a brother in the army right now. He's not like in a dangerous thing, but he's in the army. He has friends in the army as well. Our people in the war right now. We are not quiet. We are not in a good situation, like I said about it. Yes, I don't know like how much time it will go on. Maybe I will ask you, I don't know, like if where you're living, you have something like that. But do you see around your place like anti-Semitic things or like pro-Palestinian protests or?
So, you would think with what Hamas did, right, that there is no way to justify it. You would think that there is nobody on this earth outside of those who are in Hamas that could say, yeah, what they did is justified. You would think that. But there are people, especially you'll see in big cities, which are heavily Democratic in the United States. You'll see a lot of, I don't know if they're protest. You'll see Free Palestine protests, which, is kind of, it's somewhat anti-Semitic just by saying that. I don't want to get into too far into that, but there are a lot of people who feel like, what Hamas did, while it was terrible, is no worse than what is happening now with Israel bombing Gaza. But what they don't understand is like Hamas used and continues to use civilians. They target civilians, whereas Israel and the forces that are opposing Hamas are targeting Hamas. But the casualties of civilians are going to happen because Hamas is using them as shields. Hamas has they have tunnels. They have built their headquarters underneath hospitals. They shield their civilians. I mean, I don't need to tell you know this. So like you would think that all of that can't be justified, but somehow people feel, and I don't think it's the majority here, but there are certain protests you'll see here in the cities of like, oh, Free Palestine. I don't think they really understand what's going on, or they feel that the people who are retaliating against Hamas should do a ceasefire. It's like, no. Why would you do a ceasefire when you just had the worst the worst slaughtering of Jews since the Holocaust, which is just true. It's true. And you're just supposed to sit back and wait for what? Another attack? This is, I don't know. So I'll leave it at that. But no, we are seeing pro-Palestine rhetoric around here. Not a ton, but when you see it, you're just either they don't know what they're talking about or they are truly anti-Semitic.
I got to say, Matt, that it's really brave what you're saying right now, because just in like, what you said, social network things, if like people can like right now say that your podcast, what you said in your podcast it's not right, it's fake news. People from Israel, their Instagram and Facebook got erased and got blocked because so much pro-Palestinians said that what they are saying about the war in Israel, it's fake news and like it's anti-human right things. And what you are saying right now, I think that now the world understand like what we are dealing with all those years. Like for so many years, people said to us that we are like occupied like another people on another territory. But if you see the shots and like the videos from Gaza, you do see like the Israeli soldiers letting the other civilians go out of Gaza, and the Hamas people are trying to shoot and like trying to make them not to escape from Gaza. I don't want to go like so much into politics anymore because this is like a show on wrestling. But I got to say, I don't know if you remember, like 2 weeks ago, I did said something. And if it's okay, that like we will go like to wrestling now.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to say one more thing about Israel or something like that, or to ask me.
Sure. Yeah, you can. We can finish up on that topic, and then we'll move to wrestling. So go ahead.
Because first of all, I need escapism so much. You don't like in the Saturday that everything happened. I saw like SmackDown, like I have to saw like SmackDown like so much. I didn't want to see the news. I wanted to see what happened with Roman Reigns and SmackDown and John Cena. Don't tell me about Hamas. I want to see John Cena wins or something like that. I need this escapism so much. Like every time that, because it's all over the place. I can't go to Facebook. I can't go to internet. It's everywhere. You talk with your friends. You talk about that. It's everywhere. So wrestling, it's like, this is my part of escapism. Everyone talking about this thing. I know we are in bad situation, but please let me like go out and do like other things and talk about. Do you hear me good right now?
Yeah, you're okay.
Okay.
You got a vacuum going on, yeah.
Yeah, so I do want to speak about wrestling, but it's still a little bit related to what's happening in Israel. And 2 weeks ago, we had the Raw, and we had Sami Zayn that started to talk about his promo with the Judgment Day. And if you remember, I said in the Mailbag podcast that it's just celebrating 3 years. Did you know that you are celebrating 3 years? Did someone say that to you already?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, for the mailbag. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding, because everyone said good birthday to the mailbag then, and you say like, what? I have a birthday to the mailbag?
Sure, yeah.
And if you remember, we had like Sami Zayn that talked about the oppression with the Judgment Day. And I said that I think that he's speaking about Israel and Gaza. And then other Israeli podcasts that speak about wrestling, that we have like 2 of them, said the same thing like me. They do feel that Sami Zayn spoke about the conflict between Palestine and Israel in this show when he said something about oppression. And also Palestinians had like this kind of YouTube things that said Sami Zayn support us and not Israel. And if you're looking in the history of Sami Zayn, you will see that he have like support in Palestine and not in Israel. And that made me feel bad in 2 main ways. First of all, because of Sami Zayn. Why do you have to put politics in wrestling? I really like your character. I really like you. Why do you have to make me feel, okay, I don't like you anymore because you have like a political agenda? Like, I don't look about, are you a wrestler? I don't look about your character. The moment you said like you have like a political agenda against me, why do you do that? It's so weird. And second of all, WWE didn't put like anything. First of all, it didn't say anything like we are part of we are sad because what happened in Israel. Like other places do that, like the NBA, or like other places do this as well, but WWE didn't do this. And we have like Paul Heyman and other Jewish competitors that are part of WWE. Even like AEW, part of them said things about it, but WWE didn't say anything. And after what Sami Zayn said, they also didn't say anything. And like, I don't know, like how many people it's bothered them. To the Israeli wrestling audience, it's bothered a lot. And yes, like, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm a big fan, even though right now I'm being a bit hypocritical as we've spent the first 20 minutes talking about the political aspects of the Hamas attack and the things happening here in the U.S. I mean, I never do that here, but I think it was necessary to discuss that. Now, as far as Sami Zayn goes, I'm a big fan and big believer of keeping politics out of wrestling. No matter what your stance is or how right you think you are, it's not a place for it, because we have a million other places trying to shove it in our face all day. Anytime you go on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever, you're going to see somebody's political beliefs in front of your face. And some you may really agree with, some you may not. But the fact is that we don't need any of that, even if it's something I really agree with. And I'm like, hey, I really like that message. I still don't want things I agree with politically on WWE programming. because it's not the place for it. It's the place you go to get away from that stuff because you're seeing it 90% of your day. So anytime somebody brings politically charged language like Sami Zayn did a couple of weeks ago into television, I don't care if I agree with your message or not. That's not the point. It shouldn't be there. And his equivocation of oppression, anytime you say the word oppressive in today's culture, it's already got politically charged notions in it, because we understand kind of what he's talking about given the state of what's happening in Israel and other places around the world too. But like, I don't want that in my wrestling. I don't want anywhere near it. I don't want any anything. Again, pro or against your message. So yeah, I applaud WWE for not giving in to any of the political pressure to BLM when Black Lives Matter was a big thing a couple of years ago here. They didn't bring any of that in. Some of the superstars did wear like small little things that said like BLM or whatever, but it wasn't put into promos. It wasn't, there wasn't any propaganda put into the commercials or into anything. There wasn't like a, hashtag on the ring apron. None of that. And it's just, it shouldn't ever be. It's a place to go that you can just forget about what's going on for a little while and pretend you're in this environment that you can just have fun in and there's no consequences in. And that's what it is. It's like playing in the sandbox. I don't want to be I don't want to be disturbed in my sandbox. Just let me play and escape what my life, what the bad things that are going on right now. So when Sami Zayn said that, I was just like, come on, man.
Yeah, and I gotta say that right now, wrestling, like as general and WWE specifically, are in a really good times, and like you can see so much of AEW, WWE, Impact, like New Japan, so much like fans all around the place, all around the world, and you think to yourself that you can do just like wrestling content, and you don't you don't have Vince McMahon. Like you can remember in Vince era, you had like all kind of political things that he got into his show. Like what was the name of this person? Hassan. After the 9/11 thing, you remember that?
Yeah. Muhammad Hassan.
Yeah, and he had like like another thing with Sergeant Slaughter and the Iron Sheik. It was like a political thing. Like he had a lot of a political thing in the Vince McMahon era, and you don't need it right now. You have like great stories and great people and great wrestlers, and it was great if the WWE didn't say anything, but Sami Zayn did say a thing, but WWE didn't say like a thing back that he supports Israel. I'm trying like to put it like aside. I'm succeed about it, but every time I see Sami Zayn now, it's like I don't want him, and it's weird. It's just weird feeling. But yes, like I just want that it will be like a political free and will keep be like escapism to my soul because I so need it right now.
I can imagine. I mean, I think to some degree we all do. I mean, of course, there's probably not too many people listening here that are close to a war zone, actually close to a war zone, and dealing with what happened on October 7th. I know I have listeners in Israel, and I wish everyone there the best, and everyone please stay safe. But the political end of things in wrestling, the only thing I can think of in the last like 20 years, besides the examples you provided, is when 9/11 happened here. There was a group called the Un-Americans, and it was like Christian Test and somebody else I can't remember, and Lance Storm maybe, and they were trying to burn flags on TV. Of course, they never actually did, and they were trying to, without talking about 9/11, capitalize on the events of 9/11 by bringing patriotism that had been on the rise since 9/11 into the wrestling storyline, because everyone at that point was, everyone felt united at that point, and they were the Un-Americans who were trying to burn flags, and like, so you've seen it throughout the years. But I do applaud generally, for WWE not bringing in political agendas into the company. And yeah, the Sami Zayn thing, we'll have to see if he continues to push that kind of stuff. I hope he doesn't. We don't need it. I don't care what your message is. It just doesn't belong there. So, well, let's get a little bit harder into the wrestling side of this, because that's what we're here for. But what's your take so far on the Roman Reigns run? Are you ready for it to be over? And if you are, who would you have beat Roman Reigns for the championship?
I got to say that before your Mailbag show yesterday, I like some of the people in your Mailbag show said that Roman maybe like has like a parts of cancer, or still have like cancer in his body, and this is the one of the reasons that he's not wrestled so much. And even with that reason, I got to say something that it sounds like a little bit hard, but it's maybe one of the worst runs with championship ever. In so many ways, the Roman Reigns reign damaged the championship, the industry, WWE, other wrestlers. And even in the first days, I remember like so clear in the moment that he went ill in a Payback. There was a time that you said that he went ill like in a SummerSlam. Do you remember that there were times that you said that like Roman Reigns were ill in SummerSlam, but he did it like in Payback. And I remember when I saw that, I was, wow, Roman Reigns become heel. This is so good. This is so great. And when he started to build the bloodline, when he went like a story with Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso, and like the first year was great because Roman did a shift. Roman was wrestling. Roman did great things. His match with Edge and Daniel Bryan was really good. His promo were really good. The partnership between him and Paul Heyman, and afterwards we had the Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa. It was the best story in wrestling. But in the moment that he took the championship from Brock Lesnar and take it hostage for so many months, and like made it that he can wrestle just against people that he want to wrestle against, and he wrestled like, I don't know, like maybe like 15 or 20 people since he became champion. It made so much damage to the industry. So many people didn't get an opportunity to be a champion, or even wrestle for a championship, or even wrestle to be a number one contender. Also, for so many months, we had like just one main championship title, and it was disappearing for so much months because he didn't wrestle. And lately, this is also what makes me so upset about this run. It looks like he doesn't care so much. He just comes to one SmackDown or one Raw, one main event every 2 or 3 months, like do with their wrestling thing. And like, he doesn't seem like so much care about it because he's the champion already. And like, we know that no one will win him. Like, I don't know when. I will give my prediction what will be in the future in a moment. But it looks like that he doesn't care anymore. And most of all, and this is like one of the baddest thing that happens in his run, his rivals, is the people that wrestle against him, losing not even clean. Again and again, the bloodline people, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, are doing the same thing every match and make him look, and they are losing in the same way. So you think to yourself, like, he's not a strong champion because he has people around him that defending him. He's not like, I don't say he need to be like Seth Rollins, but he need like to defend his champion so much, like a month or two, but he's not doing that. And no one even like saying, hey, why do you don't do this? Like even LA Knight didn't say anything about why they are not defending your championship. No one doing it. And yes, and I gotta say that Roman Reigns, although it was great in the start, and like you do have like the statics of like 1,500 days or like 200 days. I don't know like how much is Daisy champion right now, but it's not that good. It's not that good. We had better champions that were champions less time than him. Um, I'm really not good about it, and yes, like I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And they do have opportunities to do other great things, but they just said to ourselves, Roman Reigns should be our champion for 3 or 4 years, and like everything else should be like less important. And he damaged WWE a lot. Yes.
Well, that was a nice recap and you brought up some things that I had forgotten about, and all valid points. Now, I think when I look at WWE now, and I'm looking at why are they keeping Roman champion, it comes down to one thing. It comes down to one reason why he is still champion, and that is just length of time. That's all they care about, because at this point, we know Roman can put on good matches. He does. He's a very well-rounded wrestler. He is much improved on the mic, but he himself is not gaining anything from holding on to this championship any longer than WWE feels that he should be. Meaning, WWE is looking at this saying, we will benefit by having him surpass Hulk Hogan. But in the meantime, Roman himself is, as a character, I think, being damaged because he's not there. He's getting a lot of the criticism. He's not able to work with guys that he could help build, help new stars, help the next generation of stars, come about. And now all roads lead to, well, we want to make sure he has a long run. Everything now is just about ticking off the days so that he can surpass Hulk Hogan's championship run. He'll be number 3 on the list, and then he can maybe get to number 2. And he won't be number 1, by the way. There's almost no way they'll do that.
Imagine that.
He will have to be champion for 6.5 or 7 years. That's how long it would have to be for him to beat Bruno Sammartino, which is not going to happen, I hope, which means we're just over maybe halfway through his championship run.
Like, you hope that it won't happen. Like, you think they could do something like this.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, imagine, though, that we probably would have said a year, or maybe 2 years ago, we would have said, no way Roman's going to be champion in 2 years. And here we are, right? Like, so who knows? They may have plans to have Roman be champion the next 3.5 years. I doubt it, but I wouldn't put it past them. I still think they're going to get to passing Hulk Hogan, and then after that, we can say, okay, maybe let's get it off of him. But all the sacrifice that they've made, all of the things that they've missed, the opportunities they could have had, all for Roman just having a long run, is really not worth it, because you're also putting unrealistic expectations on the person who's going to beat Roman, that person's anointed as the next Roman Reigns. That's not a fair label to put on anybody. So I really don't care who wins it at this point. I despise the Cody character. Maybe we can talk about him next. But even I would allow that to happen just to get the championship back. Just so that if Roman wants to come and go on his schedule every 2 to 3 months, let him do it. Just don't sacrifice everyone else's careers for the sake of just getting to a mile marker on the number of days that you're champion. That's been the biggest problem that I've had.
So I think, as a prediction, I don't know when it will be a spoiler, like Paul Heyman says, that 2025 WrestleMania 41 will be the end of Roman Reigns' reign. I think maybe against The Rock, maybe against someone else, it will be WrestleMania 40, and then like it will be Roman Cody Part 2 in WrestleMania 41. I don't know how they are going to do this. I don't know which story they are going to supply us in those year and a half, but I can still see them like putting the Roman Reigns reign like until WrestleMania 41. And if probably Cody Rhodes will be the one that will beat Roman Reigns. We can start talking about Cody Rhodes, but the last thing Maybe you can speak about it in the mailbag in Sunday as well. But I sent you a photo of army dust. Yeah, it's like, I mean, if you think about Cody Rhodes, he's a mediocre wrestler. He's a mediocre wrestler because he was a mediocre wrestler until he got fired in WWE like 7 years ago. And the story they are telling, it's not the correct story they're supposed to tell. Because they are telling us a story about Cody Rhodes that he is like the new John Cena. That everyone should love him and everyone should be excited about him, but they don't give you a reason. They give you like a cool music entrance. They give you like a cool look, a cool character, happy-go-lucky character that I got to make the fans happy. And this is like the reason that you got to like him. But if they will tell the real story, they need to tell the story of Cody Rhodes, how much he was a mediocre wrestler. Right? They should tell their fans that after he was a mediocre wrestler, he became one of the founders of AEW. He made a revolution in the wrestling industry in the world. He became an important people. But they are not telling us this story because AEW is not existing in the WWE universe. Like, we can't say anything about it. It's so stupid as well. Cody Rhodes, it just came like 2 years ago, and he did nothing relevant. I mean, he just won. Seth Rollins got injured, and then he won the Royal Rumble. They had no reason for him to win the Royal Rumble. I'm not talking about the character. I'm talking about like what he did in his career. And his career didn't make him like earn the place in the Royal Rumble. And then like you earn a place in WrestleMania. It doesn't have like any reason to have this kind of special place, like to be against Roman Reigns. And then like he loses to Roman in the ordinary original thing that happens to all of the enemies of Roman Reigns. And then like still nothing like really, like he didn't earn anything as well from this point. He became like a tag team champion. He won Brock Lesnar in an unconvincing way. So I gotta say, it's not a thing that I hate Cody Rhodes' character so much. He just made up superstar that he want to made up new Roman Reigns. And to a lot of the wrestling fans, I don't see a reason why he should be the one that beat Roman Reigns. I don't see a reason that he have like a place like he have right now. And yes, his character is bad right now, but they are not giving like us like any more reason except like we have a good song, he's a good people, like be a fan of him. I don't feel like any like attachment to the Cody Rhodes. Yes, and
Yeah. They have a character that I don't. They are very lucky that they're getting the reaction that they are. But like you said, trying to break this down, I don't know why people cheer for him. I mean, I understand he's Dusty Rhodes' son. Fine, great, okay. That gives you, it gives you a name and it gives you a dad, and we know a little bit about you now from one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Dusty Rhodes. Great. But outside of that, he left. Like you said, he left under the Stardust gimmick, which was laughable. Everyone knew it was a terrible gimmick. He goes over to AEW. He starts a company over there. He has some matches actually with his brother, Goldust, and the crowd eventually turned on him. And he, after a couple of years, decides this isn't for me. I want to go back. And then he comes back, and everyone blows up. Everyone, oh my God, this is like, the second coming. What? This is great. And it's like, why? Because he's the first star to come from AEW to WWE? Is that the reason? Or is it his music? Is it his bleach blonde hair? What is it? I don't know why people feel that he is just the star that he really actually he shouldn't get the reaction that he does. He's lucky. WWE is very lucky to get the reaction that they have with him, but trying to understand why he does is even more of a mystery. And it's because he hasn't ever won a world title. I actually think he's a little bit better of a wrestler than probably you do. I don't think he's Bret Hart, but I think I actually think he's good. I don't think he's great. And then you have a promo ability on the mic that he's pretty good, but he's so produced, and he wears suits and he smiles too much, and he's too pandering, as I've gone over a million times. So people seem to like that, though. Maybe they like him because they can sing along with his song. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I look at this and I look forward on what is probably going to happen here. And I think it's going to be, as you said, probably Cody Rhodes beating Roman Reigns. And it could happen as soon as WrestleMania 40. I don't think Roman has any chance of dropping it before 40. And Cody Rhodes versus Roman 2 is probably a very likely place that Cody Rhodes wins. Now, let me ask you, and then maybe we can move on to a final topic, is do you think that, or would you be okay with if Roman drops the belt and you get somebody who takes it and actually visible, but that person's Cody Rhodes? Would you sacrifice the belt coming back to being visible, but it's Cody the one that's carrying it?
So, first of all, if we continue to speak about Cody, I gotta say, I'm comparing him to John Cena. They're trying to make him the new John Cena. Everyone should like you. You need to be like the WWE. How do you say it? Like the all-around wrestler, face wrestler. Everyone will like you. I think he's like the new John Cena. But if you compare between Cody and John Cena, I began to love wrestling 20 years ago when I was 10 years old in the Ruthless Aggression era. These were the time that John Cena came to his good place. And John Cena had a story that he earned things. He came from FCW, and FCW, I don't remember which one of this was John Cena came of. And John Cena came and he won the United States Championship. He was the prototype. It was Dr. Fengamonic, or I don't remember what it was his name there. And I learned to love John Cena over the years. I was his biggest fan. I think he's one of the greatest of all time, not the greatest of all time, one of the greatest of all time. And I was a real fan of John Cena. And over the years, John Cena earned his place. When he became a champion, it was so much of exciting things. When he lost the champion, I was sad with him. And John Cena became like one of the greatest wrestlers ever. And then I think Cody Rhodes, they tried to place him as the new John Cena. And in the place that Cody Rhodes right now is located, it's not worthy that he will be the champion. I don't want that he will be the champion that will beat Roman Reigns. We have so many other possibilities that can be good. It could have been LA Knight that is so much over right now. It could have been Jey Uso. It could have been someone from NXT that really earned his place in WWE. I don't want it. They have decided about it. This will be the future. I mean, I want it to be other thing, but Cody will take the championship from Roman Reigns, period. That there's no other option. There is no other option, I think. I didn't want this will be the option, but Cody Rhodes will going to do this. But if you say so the other thing will be Roman Reigns will be the disappearing champion for so much years, and Cody Rhodes got to save us from Roman Reigns and got to save us from the evil disappearing Roman Reigns. So I don't buy this story. I don't buy the story that it's or Cody Rhodes champion or Roman Reigns disappearing champion for so many years. This is the story that they're trying to tell. I don't think it's so much of a good story. Probably when Cody Rhodes will win the champion, people will be so much happy and there will be so much fireworks and it will be like the face of Cody will be written in the stars and like maybe they will change the company name to Cody Rhodes Wrestling and not a WWE. I don't know. But yes, it will be like a feeling that, yes, finally Roman Reigns is not the champion anymore. But it's not a real feeling. It's not an organic feeling. It's like, it's not organic for me. Yes.
And it stinks that we're coming to this point in Roman's run and saying, I don't even care who it is, because that actually shouldn't be the purpose of this end of the title run. The purpose should be the opposite, where we're thinking, oh my God, okay, it's got to be somebody select. And at first we all felt that way, where when this is a special run, whoever beats him is going to be anointed as the next guy, and they really got to think about it. And I know a lot of people now that are just saying, I don't care who it is. That should not be the feeling that you want fans to have of, I don't care who the hell it is, even Cody, just let them take it so Roman can come and go as he pleases, but not hold the championship hostage, and also not allow other guys to have opportunities at that belt. Because I don't want a Seth Rollins defending it, every day, twice on Sunday, which is what Seth Rollins seems to do. I think there was actually some bad things about doing it that way, as I've outlined on this show before, overexposing the championship, making it feel less valuable, allowing anyone to have an opportunity. None of that should apply here. But I also don't want Roman Reigns' run. See, we have two extremes. I need somebody in the middle. We have Roman, who's never there and defends it once every 4 months, and then you've got Seth Rollins, who defends it 8 times a day. And I don't want that either. Like, I want somebody in the middle, defends it, and once every pay-per-view, once every PLE. It makes sense, fine. But all right, well, in our limited time left, I'm gonna let you choose the topic that we talk about here in the final few minutes. So I don't know if there's something that you've wanted to discuss or wanted to air on this show, wrestling wise, but I guess the floor is yours if you want to take it.
So much responsibility. What do I pick? I would say like two little things. First of all, I know you don't like the War Games format, but I really, really advise you to see War Games in NXT. There you can see like a really aggressive fight between wrestlers and a real good story and a real reason for the War Games. And if you will see the NXT War Games, you will also understand why you should have a reason for a War Games match and not just like, this is the War Games time, do a War Games match and that's it. Because it becomes like Hell in a Cell or like TLC, like, hey, this is the time for War Games, the War Game match. So if you have like any time, watch War Games in NXT. This is one thing. And if you watch NXT as well, in this opportunity, I advise you also to watch a rivalry between LA Knight and Cameron Grimes when they had like a rivalry around the $1 Million Championship. Did you haven't to see the opportunity to see this rivalry? So you got to see it because this is the time that you understand how much good LA Knight is and how much great he can be when you have like a story and a good opponent against him. And this is how you build like a good story around LA Knight. So I advise you to see also the thing between LA Knight and Cameron Grimes. I just wanted to say like one more thing about AEW. I don't know what you're thinking about it. I don't see AEW at all, but most of the time I just hear podcast about it. But for me, I feel that AEW, it's like Tony Khan got a lot of money. He bought like wrestlers from all over the places, like the wrestlers he likes. And that's it. They don't have like a lot of contact in those programs. They do things like in a weird way. I did send you like the think about the anti-Semitic part with MJF like a few weeks ago. Like they doing things so weird, and people like it, and people do like this AW thing. But I gotta say that I don't connect to AW so much, and I know that you do as well. Don't connect it so much, and yeah, who knows that if they will have like a better future in the future. But it's so much of a weird show right now, and like there were times that I thought to myself, maybe I will switch to AEW and we'll see like a little bit of WWE when they have like bad things in WWE. But I I don't have like any reason to connect AEW. I can't do it, and I will still stay a part of WWE as the future will go on. Yes.
Well, I haven't, I haven't checked that out yet. As far as the anti-Semitic part of MJF, I'm gonna have to Google that. I feel like I thought I saw it, maybe I didn't. I'll have to Google that. Was it a promo that he did or something?
They did like a story that one wrestler is like holding the coins and say Friedman, like the MJF like real family name, and say Friedman, I'm holding the coins, and like anti-Semitic reference. And it was really, really weird. And it just shows you like that they don't understand what they are doing so much. That's saying like, do everything you want. I'm paying you like a lot of money. And like, there's no like a real understanding what they are doing. So weird.
Well, you have a billionaire who's running the company that's a wrestling fan himself that allows a lot of freedom among their wrestlers, and there's something to be said for that. Because if I'm a wrestler, I'm looking at this saying, all right, well, I'm not going to be just completely suffocated by management, and every little thing I do needs to be approved, and they're allowing more creative freedom. That's appealing. If you're a wrestler, you want freedom. You want to be able to just do what you want and not be suffocated. But at the same time, you're allowing the inmates to run the asylum. Like you are allowing kind of groups to form, like with WCW and the whole political power game with Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall that they ran literally backstage, not just on camera. You start to have that issue come about again. Like you're fermenting an environment that will probably duplicate what happened in WCW, because there does need to be an element of control. Now, I'm sure they do have management there, but they seem very loosey-goosey. They don't seem to be very micromanagers, and that's okay. I don't like being micromanaged. But you need to have a balance, and I feel like it's out of balance right now. And it sometimes feels like their show doesn't have a direction. And I've seen a few of their shows over the last couple of months, but I don't talk about it that much because we have an AEW reviewer here, and I feel like I haven't seen it enough to speak intelligently on it. But it does feel like they are a different product. That's good. You don't want them to feel like WWE, but also they feel a little bit like out of whack. They don't feel like they just kind of feel like they're doing things to do things sometimes. And it can always be improved. I wish them nothing but the best. I want another place for guys to be able to work, women to be able to work. That's great. That's good for them. And it's also good if you want to just like, hey, maybe something crazy will happen on AEW, and we'll, you go check that out. But it also concerns me if I'm an AEW fan, I'm looking at the people that they're hiring, like Ric Flair, who might have another match in that. Ric Flair, who's 70 some years old, may have another match in AEW. Chris Jericho, who is well past his prime. They just hired Big Show. Okay, like, is this apparently their next generation of wrestlers? Are all these guys? I mean, like, at times it feels like they're just bringing in the old timers. And I know they grab ratings and people watch, but at the same time, you want to build the next generation of talent. And I really just say hope. And here's the last thing I'll say. I don't know how you feel. I still want MJF in WWE come January of this coming year. So he hasn't signed a contract yet with AEW, from what I understand, and he's going to become a free agent. And when he does, I really want to see MJF in WWE.
Don't you think that he should be the one that win Roman Reigns?
Bring it on. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So much of a better thing that Cody. We're going to have so much of a Cody time. And
If
we
we're
will.
sick of Cody now, just wait till he's champion every day, every Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, wherever he's at that point, and he's coming out smiling every single week. And there's going to be a lot more Cody than less Cody as we go forward. So those of us that don't like this babyface character, we're going to get more than we ever wanted for a Cody Rhodes, unless he turns heel. I mean, I do want at some point a Cody Rhodes heel turn, but that's nowhere near what they're talking about, I'm sure, right now.
You will miss Roman Reigns.
Oh, yeah.
when you will have a Cody champion.
I mean, that's the thing is when people say they want something, they get it, and they're like, oh, well, I don't know if I want that. No, like I will miss Roman Reigns from just the actual, just the character perspective and the bloodline and all that. Like that was one of the best storylines they've ever produced over the last 3 years. It's run its course now, but during the time a year and a half ago when it was hot as hell, that was the best. And he has improved immensely by turning heel and aligning himself with Heyman. And since that time, he's turned his career around. He's a Hall of Famer. So I'll miss him from that perspective. I won't miss the championship not being visible. I won't miss the championship not being there 6 months out of the year. So that's what I won't miss. But all right. Well, Sharon, do you have any last comments or anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
First of all, thank you so much, Matt, for having me in your podcast. I gotta say that I listened to your podcast for something like 3 or 4 years. I became so much of a great fan of your work. You're also like an inspiration for me because I think also about to doing podcast by myself as well on like talking about, I really like a cinema man. I learn cinema and I teach cinema. So I feel like to do a podcast of cinema as well. So I take a lot of like inspiration from you and from your work. So it was really, really good to be part of your show. And please keep doing Contact so much because this is like the thing that make me have escapism from the situation right now. And it's really, really good that I have like an opportunity to hear your podcast. And also, I would say one more time, it's really brave that what you said and that you gave me an opportunity to speak about the situation in Israel, because you hear so much of bad things that people say, and it's not a good times in the world to say that you are an Israeli and even like a Jew, that people think all kind of weird things about you. And just remember that no matter what you're in the news, try to understand what is the real thing, try to understand what real happens, and try to understand that right now we have a country that is in a bad thing, and we looking forward that the war will end and our people will come back to our places in a good terms. And I'm looking forward for better times in Israel. And I will just still listen and watch wrestling as my escapism and my good place in those days. And thank you again.
Well, thank you, Sharon. And this has been a lot of fun. It's crazy that we're, oh my God, like 5,000 miles away here having this conversation. And you're in the middle of not you specifically, but you're much closer to a war zone than I am. And, the things that's going on there, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, is really just something I can't wrap my mind around. The things that have happened there are the worst things I've ever seen in my life. And, obviously, I'm sure everyone listening would wish you and your family safe, a safe and, a happy future as we move forward. And we all hope it ends soon, but we're actually trying to, there's talks here of like World War III and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying it in the United States, trying to avoid getting involved. And I hope we do, because I obviously we don't want to expand this. We want to just kind of end it quickly. So hopefully that is what happens. And to continue to watch wrestling, I appreciate the comments and the compliments. It's it's weird that you when I speak, I say this all the time. I don't know who's listening. I don't know who is out there listening to my voice. You'd never have any clue. And it's you're thousands of miles away, and now maybe you start your own show, and I hope you do. And if you do, let me know. We can give you a little promotion on the show here. But Yeah, so very good, and we'll stay in touch. Continue to use wrestling as your escape, as you said. Continue to just you need that for your mental health. So thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for all of the listeners, and goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.